In being diagnosed with breast cancer during their lifetime, nearly everybody has known or will know a friend, a loved one, a family member who will fight breast cancer. Yet knowing exactly what would be helpful, maybe even comforting, can be a real challenge for a lot of people. So Project 31, an Oklahoma City-based nonprofit that provides services and support to those fighting breast cancer, has launched Handles with Care. So joining us now is Executive Director and two-time survivor, Sarah McLean. Thank you so much for being with us here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
I was just telling you, I was scouring your website earlier. I was reading all about your story. It is so powerful. Nearly 15 years ago, I think you and your husband moved to Oklahoma City.
Right.
And you found yourself the lump in your breast. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Share your story with us this morning.
So in 2003, I found a lump. I was 25 at the time, and I had gone to the doctor, and they assured me that it was nothing because of my age. And so 6 months later, it started to grow, and thankfully my husband insisted that I go back, and I did, and sure enough, it was cancer. And we were just totally, obviously, caught off guard. And then over the next year, we had double mastectomy, we had reconstruction, and it was the year later that we realized we were dealing with a lot of emotional issues, a lot of psychosocial things like self-image and depression and intimacy issues, and no one had spoken to us about that. And so thankfully we were connected with a psychologist who was actually a survivor. And so through our time with her, we just realized, wow, this is a real thing and that people need help. And so that was what launched Project 31. We started initially to start giving people scholarships for counseling. And so fast forward, 8 years later, I was 34, and I'd continue to do self-exams just because I knew that was what you were supposed to do.
Right.
And even though I'd had a double mastectomy, I knew that they couldn't get all the cells, and it actually had come back in my skeletal wall. And ironically, it was a different cancer. It wasn't even the same type of cancer. And so after that, we went through a lot of reconstruction, more treatment, and so yeah, it's been a journey.
And before we get to this project and your company, your organization, a two-time survivor. And I was reading your story, you said everything was going right for y'all. Y'all had moved here, you'd both gotten great job offers, and then this just hit you like a ton of bricks. When did you go into remission? You know, how long have you been cured? And what has cancer taught you about your perspective, your outlook on life?
Well, like I said, in 2003, I was diagnosed the first time, so I thought in 2004 that I was in remission. But the thing is, it's a real fear that cancer patients have that it will come back sometime or in a different place in your body. And so we just went on with life. And like I told you before, we had our children in between both cancers. And that was such a blessing, and they were 15 months apart, and we were like, wow, that was quick, but you know, obviously God knows everything. And so 8 years later, we get diagnosed again, and it was just obvious to us that this is what God had called us to do, to come alongside these families and actually bring hope and encouragement to them.
And I do want to get to your Handles with Care, because a lot of times, like I was saying, people don't know how to comfort.
Right.
Tell us about these packages that people can put together.
So especially during this holiday season, you know, sometimes it can be a really painful time for some families. And I know there are a lot of women being diagnosed right now, and some are in the thick of their journey, and you want to do something, but you don't know specifically what to do. So our organization has curated this package that's specifically for survivors, developed by survivors, and so we have this cozy blanket that they can use during treatment.
It is cozy. It does feel good.
Yeah, we have just a beanie they can wear if they're having treatment. They have my book is in there, which is just a personal memoir of my journey. Just because some women are more, they will like to read it in the privacy of their own home when they can intimately just kind of discover what it is that they're struggling with. Then this is another book called A Jar for My Tears by another co-survivor. Her name's Jane Wilson. She wrote a spiritual journal that actually gives you thought-provoking questions to help you in your healing process. And then we've just got some practical things. So if you go to treatment with somebody, it's got earbuds with a splitter so you guys can listen to music together. And then some other practical things like lotion and lip balm and socks and things like that. But this is a perfect gift.
And your book is called Pink is the New Black. I like that title. And were these some of the items that you found brought you the most comfort during your treatments?
Absolutely.
Just books and normal cozy things?
Yeah, well, you don't know what you need. And so to have somebody who's actually walked the walk, and they're like, it is a very practical gift, but it's also something I think that's very meaningful too.
My last question to you, I think a lot of times when we meet people who are battling cancer, we don't often can find the words to say either. You know, you don't want to not acknowledge it. You don't want to make them think that they're all of a sudden abnormal,
Yes.
or that everyone's throwing a pity party. What are just the right words to say to someone who's just had a diagnosis?
You know, honestly, I don't think it is words sometimes. It's just your presence and knowing that you're there and that you're going to be along the journey with them, and just your loving presence and encouragement. And I think it's really helpful to just kind of follow along with a survivor and see what it is that they want to talk about and kind of follow their lead. But I said, more than anything, just the presence.
Okay, perfect. Sarah McLean with Project 31, thank you so much for your time. And we are glad that you're here to tell the tale and help other people going through the same thing.
Thanks.
We appreciate it. We'll be right back after this break.